Om. Vang me manasi pratishthitam mano me vachi pratishthitam avirāvirma edi Veda syama ani stha shrutam me ma prahasi anena dhitena horatran samdadhami ritam vadishyami satyam vadishyami tanmamavatu tadvaktaramavatu avatu mam avatu vaktaram avatu vaktaram Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Great. We are in the hymn to Mitra and Varuna 63 from Mandala 5. We stopped at number 5. We finished 5. Have to move into number 6. So let me just review quickly what it was to have a continuation. So this is the vision of the givers of the rain. Yeah. Ritasya gopa vadhitishtharatham satyadharmana parame viyomani yamatra mitra varuna vatho yuvam tasmai vrashtih madhumat pinvate divach. So, the guardians of the truth, you ascend your car, and the law of the truth is yours in the supreme ether. He whom here you cherish, masters of the wideness and the harmony, for him increases full of the honey the rain of heaven. So these are two great godheads of the purity and vastness of the divine being, Varuna, and the luminosity and harmony of the divine consciousness, Mitra. Yes, they are everything what we need, being and consciousness. Yes, and so it is with them, with their support, that we receive this heavenly rain, full of honey, of bliss. Heavenly rain, full of bliss. Or soma, and that bliss or soma is something which is actually conceiving our earth, from which all the greeneries grow. The animated matter becomes alive, charged with the spirit, and grows to its, evolves to the divine levels of consciousness and being. So with their support, we grow to their level, because they provide us with this rain full of honey or soma. Samraja asya bhuvanasya rajatho mitra varuna vidathe suardrisha vrishtim vamradho amritatvam imahe Dhyava prathivi vicharanti tanyavach. Emperors, you rule over this world of our becoming. O Mitra and Varuna, in the getting of knowledge you are seers of the realm of light. We desire from you the rain, the felicitous wealth, the immortality, O lo, and lo, the thunderers range abroad through earth and heaven. Thunderers are here maruts. So when we desire from them this heavenly rain, the rain is the descent of the substance of heaven. Yeah? Heaven descends into us. and conceives us with the divine presence. We start changing, we start growing into a totally different being. So this descent from above they provide. And once this happens, once the rain of heaven comes to us, then the thunderous range abroad through earth and heaven. The maruts. Maruts are our mental and vital energies. They are being charged with totally different consciousness power from above. And they're ranging abroad. Ranging abroad, that means they're trying to go abroad heaven and earth. That means abroad beyond our physical and mental confinement in which we are confined. Yeah? They're going abroad. They're trying to go beyond heaven and earth. Samraja Ugra Vrishabhadi Vaspati Prithivya Mitra Varuna Vicharshani Chitrebhich Abhrech Upatishtatho Ravam Dhyam Varshayatho Asurasya Mayaya. Emperors, strong bulls of the abundance, masters of earth and heaven, O Mitra and Varuna, universal in your workings, you approach their cry with your clouds of varied light, and you rain down heaven by the power of the knowledge of the Mighty One. Now Sri Aurobindo highlights this Mighty One, Asura, the word used in the Veda as in the Avesta for the Deva, for the God, for the Deva capital D, for the Lord, for the Purushottama, but also for the gods, his manifestations. There is one Lord, one Purushottama, and all the gods are his manifestations. And they are also named by Asura when they have when they express the lordship of Purushottama, his manifestations. It is only in a few hymns that it is used for the dark titans by another and fictitious derivation, Asura, the not luminous, the not gods. So Asura should have the Sura long. Then it is Asura, what we call Asura nowadays, yeah? As anti-divine force. But here is Asu from Asu word, which means life force, force of being. There's someone who is Sat, as it were, Sat Purusha. We read these beautiful passages from Savitri also. And then number 4, Mayava Mitra Varunadi Vishrita Suryo Jyotikshcharati Chitramayudham Tam Abhrena Vrishtiya Guhatho Divi Parjanya Drapsamadhumanta Irate. This is your knowledge, O Mitra and Varuna, that is lodged in heaven. It is the sun, it is the light. It ranges abroad as you reach an varied weapon, as your reach and varied weapon. So the sun, the rays of the sun, ranges abroad as your reach and varied weapon. So the sun is shining with the weapon and richness of Mitra and Varuna. And as you know that there are 7 discs of the sun, and these 7 discs are 7 Adityas, yes, starting with Varuna, Mitra, Aryaman, Bhaga, Daksha, Amsha, and Surya. Surya is the last disc. So all 7 discs are beyond this surface disc, what we see as Surya. Within that disc, there are discs upon discs, yeah? Other godheads beyond. And Varuna is the major one from whom everything starts. He's the major Aditya. Then Mitra then Aryaman, then Bhaga, then Daksha, Amsha, and finally Surya. So Surya embodies all seven brothers, as it were. They are all working within him. That's why it says here this, that it ranges abroad, Surya, this light, sun, it is the light, ranges abroad as your rich and varied weapon. As your means Varunas and Mitras. You hide it in heaven with the cloud and with the raining. So it is kind of camouflaged with clouds and rain, or rain, Parjanya. This is the god of rain. Full of the honey, start forth thy streamings. Open up us to that descent of knowledge, power, and substance of delight. This is the descent from above, which has to come with our calling of Mitra and Varuna. And you most probably already feel something above the head. Yes, there is some presence, some pressure, light pressure over your head. Ratham yunjate marutach shubhe sukham shuro na Mitra Varuna gavishteshu rajansi chitra vicharanti tanyah divach samraja payasana ukshatam. The life powers yoke their happy car for the bliss. The life powers are the maruts, our thought energies and life energies. They are already yoking their happy car for the bliss. They want the bliss. Even as mighty hero for battle prepares for the battles, or Mitra and Varuna in their seekings for the herds of light. They are seeking those herds of light, the fundamental manifestations of the truth they want, our thought energies and life powers. Thundering, they range the varied worlds. And you pour out on us, rulers imperial, the water of heaven. Vacham Sumitra Varunal Iravatim Parjanyaschitram Vadati Tvishimatim Abhravasata Marutach Sumayaya Dhyam Varshayatam Arunam Arepasam. This is a new verse we didn't read yet. O Mitra and Varuna, the rain speaks its language. Footnote, here we see the subjective sense of the thunder in the symbol of the storm. It is the outcrashing of the word of the truth, the Shabda, with capital S. As the lightning is the outflashing of its sense. So interesting, the word is the thunder is the word of the truth, Shabda, and the lightning is outflashing of its sense, consciousness. Seeing and hearing, you see it again. Seeing the lightning and hearing the thunder. Or comprehensive and apprehensive cognition of the truth. Or Nama and Rupa, in the post-Vedic literature. So Vacham Sumitra Varuna Iravatim, or Mitra and Varuna, the rain speaks its language, rich and varied and full of the light and the movement. The life powers have put on your clouds. And so the Maruts, they dress themselves in the clouds for raiment, clouds full of substance of water, of heavenly waters. Utterly, by the knowledge you rain down heaven, ruddy shining, and sinless. Parjanya speaks perfectly his word of light and substance and power. The Maruts put on the clouds full of heavenly waters as their garments. So they dress themselves up, our life energies and thought energies, mental energies, are already dressed in the clouds full of heavenly waters. O Mitra and Varuna, by your knowledge power of the Supreme, pour out onto us the heaven, pour heaven out onto us, shining with the golden red light and spotless. Hare with your Maya, with your knowledge power of the Supreme. This is how I translate Maya, Maya, ya. You see, Abharavasata Marutach. The Maruts are already wearing the Abharas, or the clouds full of water. Sumaya ya Dhyam, and perfectly with Maya, with the force of Maya, or the creative knowledge power of the Supreme. Dhyam Varshayatam, you pour heaven onto us, Arunam, heaven which is full of golden red light, Arepasam, and sinless or spotless, perfect. In the last verse of this hymn, Dharmana Mitra Varuna Vipaschita Vrata Rakshet He Asurasya Maya again. Maya is always nearly in every verse. Ritena Vishvam Bhuvanam Virajathach Suryam Adhatho Divichitriyam Ratham. O Mitra and Varuna, illumined in consciousness by the law, by the knowledge of the Mighty One, you guard the workings, footnote of the workings, Vratani, called the Aryan or divine workings, Vratas. Later, Vrata in the classical Sanskrit means the vow, the religious vow which we give. Yeah? For example, Savitri took a vow of 3 days and 3 nights to stand without food and drink before Satyavan's time has come to die. So, Vratani in the Veda called the Aryan or divine workings, those of the divine law of the truth to be revealed in man. The Dasyu or un-Aryan, whether human or superhuman, doesn't matter, is he who is void of these divine workings, opposes them in his darkened consciousness and tries to destroy them in the world. The lords of darkness are therefore called Dasyus, the destroyers. So you guard the workings, the divine workings, O Mitra and Varuna, of the Mighty One. By the truth you govern widely all the world of our becoming. You set the sun in heaven, a chariot of various splendor. So the sun is viewed as a chariot of Mitra and Varuna. And I just explained 7 suns, yes? So the sun, Surya, is the last one who holds within him all 7 ones. And in that sense, he is the chariot for Mitra and Varuna, the carrier. By your dharma, O Mitra and Varuna, you whose consciousness is in the ecstatic bliss, Vipaschita, whose chitta is vipach. Vipach from root vip, to tremble in ecstasy, whose consciousness is with ecstatic bliss, trembling with ecstatic bliss. You protect the sacrificial workings of the universe, Vratani Rakshet He. You protect, notice Rakshethi is Atmanepadam. You protect, you both protect by yourself that is, or for yourself, the divine workings in the universe. By the force of the mighty Lord, Asurasya Mayaya. Interesting. By in the later language, in the Gita, in the essays of the Gita, he will be in the essays on the Gita, he will be describing this as the Paraprakriti is the force of the or the nature of the Supreme Lord, and it is by this force that they act, Mitra and Varuna, and that is the mighty Lord, the Supreme, beyond his Paraprakriti. The whole world you illumine and rule over by the dynamic truth manifesting the divine. Ritena Vishvam Bhuvanam Virajathach. Rutraj has two meanings: to rule as the king and to shine. Actually, ruling is shining. Interesting. The same idea in one word. Thus, you established the luminous sun in heaven as your chariot. This is how they rule, by the sun, by the supermind. This is the end of the hymn. I just wanted to recover the whole hymn, that you feel the flow of the meaning from the beginning. And I have few appendixes here which are important for us on Maya. Did you read? I supplied the text. If you read, then I don't need to read again. If you want to read together, then it's also fine. It's a really powerful passage from Sri Aurobindo. You must read it. Yeah? This power was known to the Vedic seers by the name of Maya. Maya meant for them the power of infinite consciousness to comprehend, contain in itself, and measure out, that is to say, to form, for form is delimitation, name and shape, out of the vast illimitable truth of infinite existence. So all those elements where they were not distinguished, the oneness of beyond, had to be distinguished in forms and names, in relations, in their infinite relations. It is by Maya that static truth of essential being becomes ordered truth of active being. Or to put it in more metaphysical language, out of the supreme being in which all is all, without barrier or separative consciousness, emerges the phenomenal being in which all is in each and each is in all. For the play of existence with existence, consciousness with consciousness, force with force, delight with delight. If in the first place there is no play, consciousness with consciousness, there is one consciousness, one being, one delight, one existence. Yes? Then with the work of Maya, or this grand infinite consciousness force, what happens is there is this arrangement of the play of existence with existence, consciousness with consciousness, force with force, delight with delight. That's what Maya does. This play of all in each and each in all is concealed at first from us by the mental play of the illusion of Maya. So it's how he says, interesting, the illusion of Maya. Not Maya is the illusion. Yeah? It is Maya's illusion, the mental play, we may call it illusion, which persuades each that he is in all, so each of us is in all, but not all in him. oh, this all is not in me. I am in all. Yeah? That kind of, I extend myself into all. I demand all to be as I am. But I do not see all being me. That he is in all as a separated being, not as a being always inseparably one with the rest of existence. This we don't see because of mental division. Afterwards, we have to emerge from this error into the supramental play or the truth of Maya, where the each and the all coexist in the inseparable unity of the one truth and the multiple symbol. Each and the each and the all coexist in the inseparable unity of the one. Our mind cannot conceive of this. Our mind is used to divide things, and here the division is in this inseparable unity of the one. So the division is there, but it is not really the division. It's more like a discerning power of each element in this infinity. So the lower, present, and deluding mental Maya has first to be embraced, then to be overcome. For it is God's play with division and darkness and limitation, desire and strife and suffering, in which he subjects himself to the force that has come out of himself, and by her obscure suffers himself to be obscured. What a perfect definition. Now, there are two movements to overcome Maya, this lower Maya, mental Maya. The first movement is this. He has first to embrace everything, then to overcome. Embrace everything as the divine. You remember, I see myself in all, but not all in myself. To overcome this, I have to embrace everything as the divine. I have to see that everything and everyone is actually the divine. This is the first part of overcoming this illusion. The second half is interesting, differently we have to do. That other Maya concealed by the mental has to be overpassed, then embraced. Oh, it should be first overpassed and then embraced, another part in us. For it is God's play of the infinities of existence, the splendors of knowledge, the glories of force mastered, and the ecstasies of love illimitable, where he emerges out of the hold of force, he evolutionary overgrows himself, grows out of this holding of the force in the inconscient. He emerges out of the hold of force, holds her instead now, the force, and fulfills in her, illumined, that for which she went out from him at the first. This force was cast out of him, and then she grabbed him, and out of that he has to emerge. And so how to emerge? To emerge, you have to overpass everything what is here given as separated existence, divided existence, and then embrace. So there are two movements, and I must speak about them before I read my explanations. This is the end of the passage from Sri Aurobindo. It says from Light Divine, you can read it in the Life Divine Mind 15. There are two movements, fundamental movements to overcome Maya. One is to see everything as the divine. Yeah. It is the spiritual look from the above. It is the spiritual look. See everything as the divine. And the other, psychic, emergence from within, is to accept nothing, nothing at all, but the divine. That means to reject, to overpass everything which is not the divine here. And recognizing the divine, embrace it. So there are two movements, accepting all of as the divine and accepting nothing but the divine. And if these two movements are there in our consciousness, we will overcome Maya. There will be no illusion. I'm here giving more examples. I will not read everything. You read for yourself. I just wanted to give you the gist. I give also other references from the Veda about the same. So here I'm kind of concluding. These two movements should be have different metaphysical and psychological treatments, as it were. If one wants to overcome the influence of Maya, the mental formation, the dividing formation of her force, the first, from above the head, is to embrace all with a perfect equality and thus overcome influence of Maya in the mind. The second, from within the heart, the psychic being, it is to overcome all that is non-divine and then to embrace the divine aspiration in the heart. Here I will stop and open to your questions and remarks, insights. I know it is a little bit, head is spinning already with this Maya. Maya, what have you done?
Yeah, can you
sorry. No, please go.
Thank you.
Linda.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, okay. Yeah, I was wondering if both can be combined experientially. So sensing this aspiration from the heart going up, and at the same time placing one's attention above the head, just sinking into the silence. So holding both in the same, it takes kind of a certain vigilance to keep both at the same time.
Yep.
And it's as if the heart was offering itself to the silence above the head.
Yeah.
Does it make sense to do both instead of being sequential?
Yeah, and there's both. This is both. And that's what Sri Aurobindo says in the Life Divine. In this synthesis, there is the whole passage that both attitudes are needed. And the psychic aspiration, which is rejecting everything here, which is not divine. Psychic views this world differently than that spiritual look of the unborn self. Unborn self views as a witness everything as the divine, without discrimination that this is not divine, this is divine, this is good, this is bad, no judgment. Everything is equally divine, and it is absolutely true, because from that source everything comes as a divine. Yes, there is one source, divine source. So that view is true. But with engaged embodied self, yes, inborn self, the view is different. The view, it emerges from the darkness. It has to move away the darkness in order to arrive at this and the divine perception of things. Yes, it has to remove or reject all the forces which claim to be true and they are not true, though they have right to be on that lower level. So he has to review them, or let us say transform them with its presence, yes, and find in them the divine, rejecting undivine. And in that sense, he says that the second movement is to literally to overpass by his mental. Yeah? That other Maya concealed by his mental has to be overpassed, then embraced. So two different movements, contradictory to the mind, but not to our spiritual self-finding. And that is the crux of the whole integral yoga. Two movements, not one. In the heart, aspiration, rejection, surrender. Aspiration, rejection, surrender is the heart, the psychic, yes, movement, overpassing and embracing. Aspiring, rejecting everything which is blocking it, and surrendering only to the divine, accepting nothing but the divine. And the other is viewing everything as the divine, from above the head. When the force descends from above, it is the divine force. And everything, you start viewing everything equally as the divine, yes? Though it contradicts to the mind, but it is not contradictory when the experience is there.
Some thoughts, Vladimir, that just,
Yeah.
So, I mean, it seems that, all the origin really, of this division arises because all our senses are directed outwards, right? So by that very fact, we perceive division, whether, seeing, touch, taste. And so it's actually, I think about it, I heard somebody from, the Ramakrishna mission, he had once said, it's puzzling. God wanted us to find him, but then he made all our senses point outward. So, and then to this dual movement that you're talking about, uh, we have to live within, whether you live, you focus on the heart, you go within from there, or you go above, I think what you were just discussing. But the whole shift is from that outward facing to inner, right? And I think Mother also says, I think there is some chapter called Living Within, right? Uh, so, I mean, at the crux, I feel that is what it comes down to, that, we are so caught up in the exterior all the time, and the focus shifts to, you know, basically and I think Mother calls it that reversal of consciousness. Right? I think that's the word she uses. So just, yeah, just those are the thoughts that come to me.
Yeah. There is, when we go within, something happens. We disconnect from without. And so when we come from within to without, there is still this separated world. To overcome Maya, that's why he speaks about these two movements. It's amazing. Yeah. That you need to have two positions. You need to have the realization of the Purusha as a witness about the head, Mukti, yeah, moksha, which creates this illusionary view. You remember whenever you realize, Sri Aurobindo realized first the unborn self above the head, yes, a witness, silent Brahman. Silence descended upon him from above, and he saw everything as unreal, including himself. He saw himself like in the movie, with other selves. It was like shelves, empty shells where there was no substance, as it were. Substance was elsewhere in the silence, not in the forms, not in the beings. This is the first overcoming of Maya, notice. Accept everything as equal, absolute equality. And the second overcoming, because this is not enough, this actually creates the idea of Maya. Then you see Maya, really. That is the illusion, yeah? The illusion of your thinking. And the second is when the psychic comes to the front, or you feel the aspiration, and that aspiration starts rejecting everything which is not fitting for the divine manifestation. Because Maya is the force of manifestation. And so to overcome this illusion of separateness, these two movements are needed. And that's why Sri Aurobindo and the mother came together, two of them. And Sri Aurobindo even explains this in the letter through, I think it was Amrita, and he wrote on his behalf, on Sri Aurobindo's behalf, that they are both, two of them for this yoga are needed. One, Sri Aurobindo says, is the influence, spiritual influence from above the head over the mental and vital nature. That is Sri Aurobindo's spiritual look. And the other is the mother's influence from within the heart, psychic, over the vital and physical nature. Notice, only then we connect, only then when psychic rejects and accepts only the divine, rejects everything non-divine, only then the spirit can connect to the physical. Without psychic, spirit cannot touch the physical. That's what Sri Aurobindo discovered in his yoga. He was in his yoga before Mother arrived, and he speaks about this. He says that he saw the abyss between that higher spirit and this earthly realization. There was no connection between the two. And when Mother arrived with her psychic influence and psychic yoga, and Sri Aurobindo totally changed his yoga towards psychic and the heart-oriented after Mother's arrival. He speaks about her as the golden bridge. Why bridge? Because it is bridging the spiritual presence. It is para and apara prakriti, the mother. She can connect through psychic influence the spiritual to this world. And only then, really, the Maya, that illusion, which is even formed by the mukti, or all those muktas, they see Maya. They speak about this world as illusion because there is no simultaneously psychic realization. But if they would have both, they would be able to overcome it. It's a fundamental question of yoga. It's more than we think. Yeah, it's a preference how to go about it. We can become muktas, but then we will see everything as an illusion. And many are speaking about this. Shankaracharya, Buddha, all of them who realize this, they say this is so obviously an illusion. And Sri Aurobindo had the same realization. Yes, it is viewed as an illusion. First step only. But then another part comes, and you overcome the illusion. You see everything as the divine manifestation. Yeah, in becoming. Yes, Soumya.
Good morning, Vladimir.
Mm.
I had a question with regards to, how the transformation happens from within. We mentioned in deep meditation, you feel that joy, that bliss, and you want to carry that in your day-to-day activities, work, home. But once you come out of meditation, to carry that throughout the day is not possible. And I just wanted some advice on how do we hold that poise as much as we can. And this is something that I've gone through it ebbs and flows for me. It is not constant. How do we make that a constant thing, a living meditation? How do we get to that state?
It's the most difficult thing for us, for our psychology. And that's why the whole yoga method was developed, to sit down, to start to become immobile, to close your eyes, to stop your thinking, to stop breathing, to stop moving in order to reach deeper. Yeah? Once you reach deeper, you are good. You are in bliss, in a state of knowledge, light, peace. But then you have to act. Yes, body has to move. So you have to reorient your senses to the outside. So you reorient them. Can you keep the inner contact, still looking within and looking without? This is the question. Can you allow that presence to go through your seeing, through your hearing, through your touch, through your word, through your thought, feeling, to the surface while you are acting with the outer world? This is the most difficult thing to achieve. But it is achievable. There is karma yoga for this also. We don't go into it now for now, but Mother speaks about this karma yoga differently. Take work and do it as yoga, so to say, keep with the inner perception while acting. That's what you're trying to achieve. And also, Pavitra asked Sri Aurobindo the same question. When I'm in meditation, I feel the descent and pressure and Mother's presence. But then when I have to engage with activities, and especially mental activities, it's even worse, mental activities, to resolve some equation, mathematical. Can you resolve mathematical equation staying in the state of meditation? And while doing it, engaging with the mind, letting mind run while you are not running? This is a masterclass, if you come to that, yes? And Sri Aurobindo gives him a suggestion. You go slow, he says. You move nearly mechanically with certain mechanical movements of the body. Body moves, you keep the contact, the state. Start slow because body snaps away. These are panis. We spoke about panis. The moment you start moving hands, try when you are staying in the consciousness and you feel how hands are already taking away your perception. Amazing. Simply amazing. How fast it goes. Just make a sudden move and you will feel interference, stealing the light. If you are in the state, I am now in the state, I feel immediately the interference. And imagine that you have to build something, to put some bricks and build the wall or something, and move in many different unpredicted ways. Will you be able to hold? Now, this is a question. So go slow. That's why Mother said to many sadhaks, she gave them mechanical work, like washing dishes. You can wash dishes and be in meditative state. You know this, yeah? Some of you wash dishes at home. This is doable, but something more complex is more difficult. But slowly you have to train yourself to be perceptive and active, which is the most difficult task. Perceptive and active. We can be either perceptive within or active without. Then we forget everything. And then we have to remember. Remember means reconnect again. And offer whatever we do. Remember and offer. Remember and offer. Always this. Forgetting and remembering. But if we train ourselves, we may maintain, and then the spirit will grow through our activities. We don't need to leave it. First, you have to have a contact with the spirit, of course. Otherwise, what is there to keep? Yeah?
Mm. I had one other question. I don't know if you've experienced this. This may, well, I'll ask anyways. Once you're in the state of where you can feel the subtle body, but when there's some disturbance, for example, a sudden music or someone calling you, there is almost like a friction going from the subtle to physical. and the friction is felt almost electric friction.
Yeah.
How,
But
how do you manage that?
you don't manage that. By the way, I would suggest from my experience not to go into that state. What you're doing there is you are half exteriorizing, actually. You're extending your subtle body to the extent like falling asleep, similar when you are shrinking from falling asleep, would be the same electrical shock. Because your body is extended a bit out of yourself, you go. Better not to do this for no reason, yeah?
It happens on its own. I really don't do much.
Yeah, just keep it in the physical body as a protector, because then you're becoming open to all kind of influences, forces, God knows what it is. Without the higher force, this extension better not. It's half exteriorization, which can be dangerous anyway.
Mm.
Unless you have protection, unless the force from above makes you do that exteriorization, then it's fine.
It's only during the meditative state.
Oh, then.
It's not otherwise, but because of day-to-day responsibilities, I can never be in a state of insulation. There's always going to be a phone call or things of that nature. And so that's when I feel the most friction.
If the force from above is with you, you would
Yeah.
not feel any friction at all. You would feel like that peace will hold you from any you will never be scared. As some mother says, or Sri Aurobindo says, even if thousands of thunders will flash over your head, you will not move, because that force is a total protection. So if you have that friction, that means you're just exteriorizing, and you do not do it under the presence. So just maintain the presence the best way. In my view, it's just totally subjective. If somebody has something else, please recommend us what to do. We are all some kind of experiencing things, no? The very thing that there is shrinking from sound, loud, fear, it tells me that there is no protection.
So it is not fear or shrinking, it is the subtle and the gross friction. So there's no fear whatsoever.
Okay.
But it's the subtle going back into the physical and causing that friction.
Oh yeah, that is like in the dream, yeah. It's a vital returns to the subtle physical, returns to the physical, shrinking.
So that is the friction that I feel. No fear though. But
yeah, then
it's almost like I'm pulled back, but the pulling back into my physical consciousness is not gradual. When it's not gradual, that's when I feel the friction. When it's sudden, I feel the friction.
yeah.
Like if I gradually come out on my own, I'm fine. But if there's external noise or someone calling me, then there's like a sudden jolt, and then I feel the friction. I don't know if that makes sense. But
Maybe you also created some kind of, barriers in your psychology. So to say that you're now meditating, you should not be disturbed or something. And then when you're disturbed, it comes. Maybe you're expecting the disturbance. I do not know why, but it's like in the dream that the body returns and you have that friction suddenly, like when you fall. And sometimes you wake up not totally. Do you have this? You wake up and you are not yet there vitally. Vital body is still not in the body totally. And then you feel very strange thing, like tension, energetic, and it needs time to come back to the body. But that is like a small thing. No, Samya, it's not so important.
Okay.
Any other thoughts?
Actually, I had a couple thoughts.
Please.
The first was that this image of the clouds, thunder and lightning being the out crashing and out flashing, I suddenly got a very different perspective on clouds, especially with reference to the Bible and how many times we hear about clouds. The thought that came to me is that clouds hold water, clouds transport water. I'm familiar with, and I had already seen the alignment between the Veda and the Bible about the streams, about the rivers, about the ocean, but I never really thought about it in terms of the clouds, that the clouds are only clouds because they're holding water. And I really am changed by this idea that a storm is not a negative thing, that a storm is, we tend to see it as that the clouds hide the sun, or that the clouds, make us feel sad, or that the rain is somehow a negative thing. So I need to go back and look at the Great Flood and see it totally spiritually, as opposed to just devastation. I'm going to destroy Earth. There's some other meaning there. That the clouds are the thunder and lightning, the stormy aspects of rain are actually the revelations, and that the cloud is holding the cloud, when it said that the life powers put on the clouds for raiment, that just something inside me shifted there with what the clouds represent. Jesus's ascension and then his supposed coming the second time is all surrounded with clouds. In the desert, God appears either as a pillar of fire or a pillar of cloud. And so all of a sudden, all of these cloud images are something that I'm going to look into. That's number one. Number two is that I'm having the feeling from reading Secret of the Veda and this class that that the Veda is about both those movements. I know that someone asked Mother, did they have the psychic being? And she said, no, the rishis discovered it. But I still tend to see both movements in the sacrifice, that somehow the liberation of the light from the cave is also about the psychic coming forward. So that was my second thought.
Yeah, there is both, of course. Both are there, but they discovered it, yes. Discovered it tells us that there was a period when it was built differently, the whole sacrifice. And first of all, rishis are the involutionary beings. They are not evolutionary beings. Yeah. So in that sense, they don't need psychic. They discovered psychic. Yeah. They came down with knowledge, which is supreme. They brought knowledge supreme down, and they wanted to transform nature. And in that sense, they are not like us, yeah, who are evolving souls. We are relying on our soul evolution, and we are receiving it from above, and they are coming from above. They bring for us the means by which we can rise above. Yes. They embody themselves into the evolutionary nature, into the earthly nature, embody, but they are not evolutionary beings. They are avatars, like avatars. Jesus was not an evolutionary being. He is an avatar, involutionary being. He comes with knowledge we have no idea about. Yeah? A direct evidence and knowledge and presence and power which evolutionary being can only dream of to achieve over some time. It's direct knowledge. And in that sense, they're different. And even Jesus, who spoke about psychic all the time, the whole Christianity in pure sense is about psychic. He's as a son of God, and still being an avatar, he brings to us that knowledge which is kind of actualizing, which is important for us to actualize now in this period of time. Humanity is finally ready to hear about this, to know about this presence in the heart, which was not the case so earlier. If you read the literature, you will see that it slowly comes into the Rama was first who brought this idea of love, and Rama was long before Jesus, but before we don't see this. We see different consideration of some force of rain of heaven coming down, or something. These are very ancient images, yes, and less psychic. They are more fundamentally supernatural, or paraprakriti, yes? Satchitananda, supermind. Supermind was there still. Then supermind disappears from our stage, and then we deal with psychics. We started to deal in Bhakti period most. In India, Bhakti period, starting with Kabir, Mirabai, and so on. This was the period closer to our time, medieval period, where people started to feel love for the divine. In masses, so to say, it became a norm. That was not the norm before. So there is a gradual kind of coming into the front, coming closer to the front from within the heart. But they knew about him, yes? They speak about the Angushtamatra Purusha in the heart. This is one of the Vishnu avatars.
But you don't think that the inconscient cave holding the light also represents the psychic being hidden behind the heart?
I don't think so. It's not the psychic being but both are Hridi Guhayam, in the cave of the heart, and there is also the cave of the heart which Panis hold. They withhold the treasures, yes, of which were stolen over the periods of infinite period of time from the beginning of creation. Everything went into the inconscient and was hidden there. There's a huge storage there. Our psychic being is the spark of the divine, which is growing slowly into the being. And it is in the cave of the heart, yes. But that cave, what you're speaking about, Vala, is more of the universal or spiritual nature, if you will. So let us think of two sources of knowledge. Yes, one is more the herds of the sun, building new heaven and so on, which is within the inconscient, hidden, from which also psychic being as a spark here in the evolution taking place and growing into the being. Yeah? But it has its own already identity and its own journey. And it leaves this body and goes into the psychic world and comes back. It reincarnates. It's not hidden in the cave, held there for us to discover it, yes, by Indra's force. So it's two sources of knowledge. I didn't know that even you thought that way. It's the first time I hear this from you. Somebody thinks the same way, that there are two, that these two are one and the same? Or you thought that they are two different? I always thought about them as two different. No? Well, we need to learn more to see how they are different, yeah? And why. One is the change of nature. Change of nature is exactly that, yes? When the Vala is broken and the herds of the sun are released. So nature starts changing. Our nature, physical, vital, mental.
Yeah, I understand the two ways, the horizontal and the vertical, and that the two processes. I just thought that in the Vedic sacrifice, both were represented.
Oh, I didn't think of this.
No, I'm not saying that they're the same process, but I just see them both in the symbol.
Yeah, but psychic has to be formed over reincarnations, which is not the case with that Vala cave. Yeah, it's not reincarnating that light. It's there, stored, hidden, has to be rediscovered. Psychic is growing by reincarnations, by coming in and going out, in and out. Evolutionary process. Great. Okay, thank you. Oh, yes, Deepti. Sorry.
There are a couple of reflections and one question. I'll ask the question. You mentioned thunder, which is hearing, lightning, which is seeing, honey, which is taste, raiment, which is touching us. What about the smell? Like, does the hymn talk about the smell? Then it would complete all the five senses.
You want smell of rain, you know this song? Rain also smells from earth, of course. Yeah, you can play with this. I don't see it necessary because they're two fundamental faculties of seeing and hearing are far beyond five senses. Five senses are already the action of Prakriti. This is coming from above, the consciousness of seeing and hearing and touch. Let us say these three. Yeah, as Sri Aurobindo speaks of the Drishti, Shruti, and Viveka. They are flashing lightning down. And we have already five senses here, so they take it one way or another for their knowledge. But that how they are fulfilled is another question altogether, which I do not have answer to.
And the other reflection I had was these two movements that you spoke of. I could visualize the astronauts from space looking at Earth and seeing all the beauty. You know, when we say look at things from 30,000 feet, everything looks wonderful and we can see the divine. But when we are in the world, we see the muck and the anti-divine and all that. So that's how I could kind of understand it. That
very nice. Very nice. Yeah, from the height you look at the beautiful arrangement of Earth and so on. Then you come down into the garbage and then you understand that life is not so beautiful as it is from above. Yeah, and you have to engage with the realities and clear up the way towards the divine. Yeah, very good.
And the third thing I had a question was on this Maya and embrace that you spoke of. Can we look at it as Purusha and Prakriti and both are entangled? And once we look at the witness consciousness as is taught in the Gita, and then the separation happens and the Purusha becomes independent and then they unite and that's the embrace. Can we look at it that way with Maya?
Well, yes, Sri Aurobindo gives his own. First you separate Purusha from Prakriti, then you see Maya. See her as such, yes? You are not separate from other beings. You are part of this Maya world. And then you see that you are not only a witness, you become not only Sakshi, you become Anumanta. First Bharta, then Anumanta, then Jnata, and finally you become Ishvara and Bhokta. So these stages after that, yes, are the stages of overcoming Maya. Yes.
Okay. There was another definition of Maya from the Tantric text, Miyate Anaya Iti Maya. That which can be measured is Maya. And the Vedas also say that Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. And if you actually look at it, we can't measure the infinite. So the infinite is outside the Maya. And everything that can be measured, which is the universe, the planets, our own weight and height and organ weight, all that is part of Maya. Can we look at it that way?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what Sri Aurobindo says, exactly this. That she delimitation of so she creates these relations between form and form, existence and existence, consciousness and consciousness, force and force. That is what it is. Yes, what is miyate? I mean, it is Maya. And miyate is measured, hence from root ma,
Yeah.
passive voice. What is measured, that is Maya. Right. Absolutely. Just Maya from the same root ma, to measure.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that illusion which you spoke of, for me, it looks like the illusion is not seeing the oneness in multiplicity. Once we see the oneness and the multiplicity together, then the illusion is lost, right?
Yes, to see oneness, yes, it's the first part of overcoming. The second part is to see multiplicity as oneness. Yeah. So there are two
Yeah.
illusions. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Double illusion, so to say. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Great, thank you all. And so we meet next time and we'll take next hymn. Namaste. Thank you.